Aviation Plus Africa. We are live at the day 2, which happens to be the grand finale of the FAAN National Aviation Conference 2025. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Chairman, FAAN Governing Board, Managing Director, CE, Mrs. Olubumi Kuku, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, heads of agencies and parastatals, captains of industries, investors and development partners, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The first day of the 2025 FAAN National Aviation Conference, FAANAC, themed Elevating the Nigerian Aviation Industry through Investment, Partnerships, and Global Engagements, opened with great momentum, bringing together an impressive assembly of high-ranking government officials, dignitaries, critical aviation stakeholders, private sector leaders, and international investors. Hosted at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, the atmosphere was one of collaboration, innovation, and renewed commitment to advancing the Nigerian aviation sector. It started off with the first session titled Enhancing Air Connectivity and Route Development in Africa, Unlocking Nigerians' Aviation Potential. This was chaired by Ms. Adefunke Adeyemi, Secretary General, African Civil Aviation Commission, AFCAP. She highlighted limited direct routes, high ticket costs, and infrastructure gaps as challenges currently facing SATAM implementation, and recommended accelerated SATAM implementation, resolve financial constraints, reduce operating costs, and streamline travel. The second session was
IATA, Regional Safety Oversight Organization, AFCAP, and name them that have interest. The National Assembly, the Ministry of Aviation, they all contribute to the governance of aviation. Now, the International Civil Aviation Organization has what we call the 8 critical elements of a safety oversight system. The first one is the primary legislation. The second one is the specific operating regulation. The third one is the safety organization. And then the fourth one is qualified technical personnel to run the organization. The fifth one is the technical guidance material. Those 5 that I have listed, those are what we call the establishment critical elements of a safety oversight organization. The next 3 are the implementing ones, the ones that we need to take some action on. So the first one among them is certification, authorization, whether it's of airline or any other entity in the industry. The second one is surveillance. Just to check that the certification, the one that has been certificated is actually running based on the certification standards. And the last one is the resolution of safety issues. So the assessment of Nigeria that was done based on these 8 critical elements. And I want to mention right away 3 major issues were 8 areas we are looked at. The legislation, the safety organization, the accident investigation system of the country, personnel licensing system, flight operations certification system, aerodrome certification system, and the air navigation service provider system. Those were the things that were looked at. And I want to highlight, out of those 8, 3 things. 3 of them were where we found wanting. One is our aerodromes. Our aerodromes are over 20 years old. They're about 40 years old. So special attention is required, to renew their lives. The air navigation, our communication, navigation, and surveillance systems are also 40 years old. They need to be revisited. And finally, flight operation in terms of the resolution of safety issues. But all of these things that I have mentioned, all of them they are actually opportunities. Okay, so having said that, and I'm going to go to our panelists. Yeah, so my first question will be going to all the panelists. And I will be starting with Bagasso. What are the strategic measures being taken by Bagasso for safety?
Thank you, Moderator.
Now moving to NAMA. As the critical stakeholder in this industry, providing air navigation services, what would you say are the strategic measures taken by NAMA to enhance ATC pilot communication and surveillance? NAMA was a subject, the last, see a lot of work that is going on with NAMA now with the NCA certification. So thank you for that. Now I will go to the service provider and then NCA, if you're ready, you will take up the pronouns. This is a name that has been ringing bells in the last few months, especially at the university. But it's a different issue of many organizations. In the future, what we are experiencing now is nothing compared to what we should be expecting. We should be expecting 3 folds, 4 folds, 5 folds. So what is the NCA doing, to prepare for that? Very practical, collaborative issues that have happened under her leadership. So, yes.
Your neighboring countries, and we use their personnel because we are fully harmonized. That is what we are doing. Thank you.
Okay, so let me comment on the PBM one. Yes, I'm commenting on it because just yesterday we had a meeting that this came up. Right, a very real meeting, like a Mickey Mouse meeting. Right. So first, I mentioned the 8 critical elements of the safety oversight system. The 6th one is certification. One thing we noticed, and I coming from the airworthiness, moving to aerodrome and airspace standard, one thing I noticed there immediately was and it's not peculiar to Nigeria, the lack of certification but operation is going on. Both for the airports and the air navigation service provider. And then we've taken that up. So we are now certifying not only the international airports, but also the domestic airports, including the aerodromes. the airstrips. NAMA is also undergoing certification. They're in phase 2 of that certification. That has never happened before. Because it's through this certification process that the safety things that need to be underpinned are underpinned. Otherwise, yes, the organization is set up by law. But again, it needs to undergo some kind of certification process to make sure that those mandates are actually implemented. So it was part of that meeting, that came up. In fact, NAMA had the meeting, training provided by Bagasso with respect to ANSP certification. So this issue of TBM came up. It's not like a mandatory thing, right? But your aircraft is equipped, you are certificated, the facility is there for you to use. If you want to use it, you undergo the certification. You get it, your aircraft has to be okay, the crew have to be okay, and then you use it, but the possibility is there. So it's the same thing with the GNS facility. So the only thing that you don't use it if you don't undergo the certification, so that we're just sure that everything is okay. So it's something that we're also learning from. The facility is there, undergo the certification and get it done. Even the issue of how many aircraft, we even talked of the issue of the ADSB. There's that temptation to mandate it, but you can't mandate it if the aircraft and the operators are not ready. You get it? It's not mandatory, but it's encouraged. So if you have any comment, you can add to that. I think it's okay. It's okay, right? Yeah. Then I also needed to just throw something with respect to, because I happen to be sitting on the seat that, within the NCA, that probably the public needs to know. One of them is the digital transformation of the processes of NCA. So, you can see. Yes, I just saw it. I don't want to let you go, sir. Because you're here and I know you really want to. But we have some questions here that I know you really like to contribute. So if you don't mind, sir, you can join us. No, it's okay, sir. So the digital transformation. So we're in the process. The system has been procured. They call it MPIC. It's a regulatory software that was developed for regulators. For regulators. So this is a software that is used by Australia, is used by Sweden, is used by a lot of the European countries. They call it MPIC. So what we're going to achieve with that MPIC is that, the digital license for pilots that many claims are using, well, we've gone very, very advanced. We've gone very, very advanced already on that. So we're now talking with the NIMSI so that the generator for qualified personnel is there. But the personnel are no longer being churned out. What happened? What happened? Because this is very strict. And it's not acceptable. It's something that we have to revisit. It's set up by law. Enable it to work. We've shown that it has worked before. Okay. Then, so I mentioned the three, Yes, of traffic. Okay. So let me go to Captain. I've called you Captain now. I think you can claim that. There's so much associated with airlines that I'm going to. Okay. So what are the strategic measures taken by Air Peace to ensure continuous maintenance and airworthiness of aircraft? And what would you require the Federal Ministry of Aviation, NCA, FAAN, NAMA, or NIMEN to do as a matter of priority to enhance the safety and security of flight operations? There's an increase in attention with respect from the National Assembly, to our politicians. So, and I think it's not a peculiar problem. Even we, the regulators, are suffering the same. Airlines are taking our.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Apology for he's not able to come in here today. I will be speaking on the aspect of air navigation service provider. What have we done to enhance safety, trust, and confidence in the aviation airspace of Nigeria? I may go to say that safety is not to be compromised within the aviation sector, because wherever aspect you find yourself within the aviation sector, the key product we are looking at is safety. So NAMA, as air navigation service provider, is leveraging on this trajectory through technology, capacity building, and performance-based navigation service. What has NAMA done to ensure that the sky is safe for you and I and the entire passenger service within the country? NAMA currently have GNS rollout to strengthen air navigation in all the aerodromes within the country. This GNS service helps to predict and precisely give information on air traffic control within the country. We also have in operation WGS4 in almost all the airports in the country. NAMA also have a data link system, which is popularly called the CPLDS and ADS, operational within the Lagos and Kano areas. We are hoping that we'll be able to cover all the airports within the entire country. We have also AIS communication system, which is able to aeronautically give data between the air traffic control and the aircraft and the pilot. We are almost 98% coverage of the entire airspace in Nigeria. We also have multilateration, which helps to give a system controller picture operation within the Niger Delta, which have a challenge of being able to detect lower flying objects within those regions. Of course, all of this technology cannot work without a human angle. NAMA have invested so much on training of these air traffic controllers and air traffic safety engineers within the country and outside the country. We could be able to say that all our air traffic controllers and air traffic engineers have the capacity to compete with anywhere in the world. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation have building capacity with us within this trajectory for training, and they have all their rating completed within the time as specified within the ICAO annexes and the CAA regulations as well. Now, training is what we have leveraged on, and we also have performance-based system where we have a culture of reporting as when due, and it will be dealt with. We have a proactive system that is implemented that gives confidence to an air traffic controller to report any incident of inactions within the system, and it will be dealt with. So far so good. We leverage on technology and human capacity building to ensure that our skies are safe, there's trust, and confidence is built. And we are a moving train. We are developing a system to ensure that safety is assured within the Nigerian airspace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Stand up the existing protocols, and let me start first to thank FAAN for this very important and well-organized conference. AGASO is the regional safety oversight organization for 7 West African countries. These countries have signed a multilateral service agreement in 2004, aiming to transform the region into a more integrated single domestic airspace. More recently, the BAG ministers approved the full operationalization of the multilateral service agreement with the aim of designation intra-BAG airlines. However, up to this moment, the BAC member states are not able to recognize each other certificates or licenses. If an AOC is issued here in Nigeria, if you are flying to Banjul, you have to go through the process again to recertify this airline. Also, if you are issued a license in Ghana, you cannot use this license in Nigeria. This is some of the constraints that are stopping us from the implementation of this multilateral service agreement. So this has led Pagaso to establish as one of its key priorities to implement an harmonization strategy for the region. We are, Engineer Godwin Balang here is the chair of the committee that we are doing the process for harmonization of our regulatory system in the region. The objective of this is to, because the states don't trust each other up to now, to be able to recognize each other's certificates and agreements. So we need to get a point that all of us, we are harmonized and we are the same level of implementation of the ICAO SAPs. This is what we intend to achieve with this key strategy. It will help the states to increase their level of implementation of safety oversight functions and will also enhance trust among member states and being able to recognize each other's certificates and license, they will be able to implement this multilateral service agreement that ultimately will benefit the airlines because they will streamline the process that they're going through for the recognition of their certificates in other states. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'd like to put it on record that NCAA, we all know, but NCAA is the local ICAO. And what the duty of NCAA is simply regulation. And I'm thrilled because the air navigation service provider has told us all that they're trying to do to keep the skies safe. And then we're invited here by the Airport Operator Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. I know both agencies and all other agencies will attest to the fact that the NCA we have today is proactive, is forward-looking, and has engaged collaborative efforts in the discharge of responsibility. I believe very strongly that the MD, even as she's seated, she can attest to the fact that the rate at which we write LOIs and all of that these days with regards to the airports, it shows that we're actually doing much more than we've been doing. And as it is now, the issue of safety management is gone beyond the level of compliance, is performance-based. And that will help the industry to be more effective, to be more efficient. And from the NCA side, the quality of personnel actually matter in driving this safety culture. Right now, in NCA, we have imbibed the attitude of training and retraining our personnel, doing recurrent courses and all of that, and they're qualified in their own respect to be able to carry out, appropriate safety regulation. So quite a number has been done. We have a flight data center now that is not just being reactive, but it's been proactive, and then it's able to not necessarily just comply, but it's able to even be predictive so that we can avoid whatever disaster may be coming. So there's so much that the NCA is doing. Of course, we know that Article 37 and 38 of the ICAO Convention, mandates states to comply with SAPs. And if there is any non-compliance, then you have to find a difference. And I can assure you that NCA is complying. NCA is doing what it has to do to ensure that the confidence, it's not enough for FAAN or for NAMA to tell us that we're going to do this. But NCA, we've got to monitor. We've got to check it out. We have to look at it to be sure that what they promised they were going to do, to enhance confidence is done, in a manner that it's compliant with the regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our Honorable Chairman of the Board of FAAN, of FAAN, this industry is very, very fast. At about 6:30 a.m. this morning. That's the reason why. Questions? Very sorry. Audience. Thank you for that question about promote safety. This industry, one is about safety. Safety is endless. Remember, that's the rather behind the answer. I'm very afraid of flying. So afraid of flying. I don't know if Engineer Bola is here. Because I'm afraid of flying, I run airpiece like a very fearful passenger. The Nigerian passengers are very afraid of anything on towards. Same way, I'm afraid of anything on towards.
Under the developmental finance can do that. The commercial banks cannot lend at 9% from their own balance sheet. So we need to have this aviation bank if possible. We will help with it because definitely even the aviation bank will need guarantees from us, like that of BOI. Okay? That's where we now come in as a bank. To make sure that the criteria are met by the bank, by the airlines, to make sure that we guide them to meet what we call the structure that the DFI wants. Because if they don't meet it, they will not be able to borrow even from the aviation bank. Because I imagine that the aviation bank will work the same way that the BOI works. But this time around is huge, specifically in that industry. So that will help. And if they do, they will not lend directly to them because the government bank, they will lend to us, they will give to us to now lend to them. And we will normally do what we do with the BOI. And the BOI has worked fantastically well. And I'm also aware that BOI is also lending money, also giving money decently to airlines. So that helps as well. So in that blend, our duty will be to try to get as many facilities as we can for the airlines from the Bank of Industry. But what I don't know is they have enough to support the industry because it's very heavy. The figures are very big. I mean, just like how much to buy an aircraft. So what am I saying that in effect that we will need this low-cost funding structure from the banks like Aviation Bank, from BOI, or from AFC, and all of them will need guarantees from the bank. So we'll continue to provide the guarantee.
Thank you very much. You actually did answer 3 of my questions in one. Because of your experience in the aviation sector, I was going to go towards achieving that single-digit rate, but you've already explored that as well. The other thing might be alternative funding arrangements from a standpoint of a banker. What would you consider would be specific alternative funding arrangements, such as aviation bonds, structured finance, or mandated intervention funds that are most viable for Nigerian carriers to secure large-scale, long-term capital?
Fantastic. I think that I would rather answer this question this way. What do you consider to be the alternative funding arrangement? For me, and from my experience in the driving, and that's been a game changer. And I want to thank our minister. I call him the action minister. I saw a different Nigeria in Dublin when we went to negotiate these loans, this structure. They tried very hard to tell us about the challenges in our country. And we stood strong and told them the challenges are international, it's global, not only Nigeria. So please, let us not be demonizing Nigeria. That is just as bad in other places. And we broke it down one after the other. And the good news is that today, the dry lease arrangement has been approved for airpeace. So our job would be to, why would that be? Because of course they're the older, the most experienced, and they're more structured, they're a bit more, they've been on this for a long time. So our job will be to try to create the other airlines to qualify for the, because it's a very tall order. You know what it means for them to give you $60 million assets to run without that, because the difference between the dry lease and the wet lease is that when it's the wet lease, they charge a lot more. When you have a dry lease, you have save over 30%. Okay, am I correct? Over 30% of your cost on the assets. You understand? So to do that, you have to meet some criteria. Insurance and all of that. There was also another problem about insurance in Nigeria. That was where the policeman told them that Nigeria not any worse than other places and all that. And eventually we won the agreement after a long draft out. But a lot of there was a lot of work done on both our legal framework as well as our policies to align with what they wanted. And this was not a very good time. And the good news is that for me, is the easiest way to put this aircraft in the hands of the airlines. That's one. But it may take a long time for some to get there in terms of ask for put together for. So alternatively, what we have done as well as a bank that's leading in this structure, in this space, is that through our Fidelity Bank in London, Feed Bank London, we're exploring avenues of getting funding from DFIs in Europe. Europe is particularly cheap because you can get 3%, 4% funds there. Once we do that, we will raise an LPLC to our bank in London. London will now situate the facility. So that's the facility structure that we're looking at that will go a very long way to help. We have a new leadership in London now, and we sat down and explored this. So they are looking at it, and we believe there will be some success very soon on that. That will be another alternative funding structure that will help. And then thirdly, the government just approved the NCGC guarantee structure for the SMEs. We've also said that we think, and what this does is that it's a guarantee scheme where the government guarantees 60% of whatever the bank lends to SMEs. What this will do in the aviation industry as well will be that at least it will make it easier for the banks to lend, knowing that their risk is only 40%. The government has a shock absorb system. This will help, even though this may not do so much in terms of the interest rate, but at least to make the banks a little bit more comfortable in terms of the risk involved in the aviation industry. So having said that, I believe that the needle has moved significantly to the positive. You understand? And just a little while from now, it will be a lot easier. Thank you.
With what you said, we really must acknowledge MP's leadership in creating.
Because if they failed, how the other people will not be able to get what? So there were very difficult times, and they stood strong and firm through COVID and all of that. But we too work out.
Finally, let me ask you this: from a financial risk perspective, how does the unpredictable introduction of new regulatory levies and multiple taxes increase the sovereign risk perception, making Nigerian airlines less attractive borrowers for commercial banks?
The problem is a perennial problem in every industry, not just the aviation industry. What this does is that it even makes the people that we're talking to, the DFI that we're talking to outside Nigeria, be worried about the changes every day. Today one new levy, tomorrow another levy, and all of that. So it doesn't help just the perception of the fact of instability. It puts out perception of instability in the lending. So you are telling them that this is the cash flow. This is the model for the next 10 years. And 1 year into the model, there's a totally different new taxation that will torpedo everything. So it's it's a need that, like I said, it's a problem for every industry, not just aviation. And another good thing that has happened is that with the new tax laws that are going to take off in January, I think they tried to put it together so that this multiple taxation will be taken care of. So I believe that things are only getting better. They can only get better. So I think the new tax law is trying to mitigate against multiple taxation, which is a major issue for now.
Well, I'd like to thank you for the financial innovation. That's what's gotten us to this point. I'll move on to Roland Yayi, President of Topras. Roland, what do you think are the key restrictions and historical precedents, including the legal framework, perception, like issues of trapped funds, that currently prevent Nigerian airlines from accessing truly low-cost, long-term funding from global financial markets?
Thank you very much. In terms of long-term funding in the global commercial markets, basically, it is a bit difficult for Nigerian airlines to access such funds simply because typically such funds require in-country guarantees. And like we've had in the past with local airline, where the financial sector is unstable, invariably it impacts adversely on the local airline. When a local airline goes abroad, secures offshore funding using US Exim Bank, for instance, which requires in-country guarantees. Such guarantees in Nigeria are required by a local bank to start with. The local bank gives a guarantee. Now, if for whatever reasons that local bank, for instance, exceeds their obligor limits, for instance, and the CBN requires, for instance, that that particular bank pull in such guarantees, those guarantees are converted to loans. So what that means essentially is the local airline now is servicing 2 loans. Now, imagine having a 4.5% rate offshore and then being asked to pay another 26% local or 30% local. So invariably, a competitive edge is no longer there. And invariably, the burden is like more than not the local airline will feel. And that's basically where we are at this point.
Let me turn to what kind of places you at the intersection of consumer demand and digital distribution, offering a crucial data-driven perspective on revenue maximization and market potential. As a major distributor, what is your data-backed assessment of the demand elasticity for air travel in Nigeria? Specifically, what is the impact of a 10,000 naira increase in the average ticket price driven by taxes on the total volume of tickets sold?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the organizers, thank you to FAAN for recognizing the importance of, I would say, the retail part of travel in such a distance. To your question, the elasticity of demand and impact of the 10,000 naira increase on the tax-driven increase. Passengers don't really care whether it's tax or it's the base fare, right? They care about what's coming out of their pockets. I would start by saying travel demand in Nigeria today is relatively inelastic. And the reason for this is today about 55% of all of the travel, both international and local air travel by air, is pseudo-essential. It's business travel. Another 20% of that is medical related. Another 30% is now VFR, visit friends and relatives, and then the rest leisure. Those pseudo-essential parts of travel will, would I say fortunately or unfortunately, happen regardless of the 10,000 naira increase. And we've seen that in the last 2-3 years with the volatility of the rate of exchange of the dollar to the naira. We've seen a double and sometimes triple-digit increase in average ticket price. However, We haven't seen a triple-digit decline in passenger numbers. I don't think we have 2024 passenger numbers yet, but 2023, we're almost at 16 million, a slight growth to 2022. It was also very evident after COVID, where we saw the rebound of travel from Nigeria. Nigeria was one of the markets where we saw the fastest rebound in travel. This is because majority of the travel that still happens in Nigeria isn't elastic, it's pseudo-essential. It will happen regardless. It doesn't mean that there is now no impact of the 10,000 naira increase, because there is. And that impact is felt more on those travel where there is alternatives, particularly the local carriers and the local travel. International travel from Nigeria is really more elastic. But local travel is where you see much more of an impact when you see those types of increases. But generally, demand in Nigeria is really not a challenge when it comes to travel. At Wakana, we sell 1 in every 5 tickets from the agency perspective that flies through and out of Nigeria. So these are data-backed points that I'm making. Demand is not a challenge, because today, under 10% of the population of Nigeria is traveling by air. Under 10%. 16 million was the last official numbers that we had in a country of over 200 million. So air travel is still somewhat restricted to the upper middle class. And by virtue of that, the reason behind their travel is what makes that decision a bit inelastic in the face of a slightly increased average ticket price, which we have actually seen in the last couple of years. For me, the focus of such a conversation is how do we make distribution for the airlines a bit more efficient? How do we increase the bucket of what is even being sold to travelers? How do we make the experiences traveling through the Nigerian airports value for money? How do we ensure that that 10,000 naira extra that they are paying translates into a more seamless experience in our Nigerian airports? I'm glad to see every time, I travel quite frequently, and every time I travel, particularly through the Lagos airport here, we see new developments, which makes traveling through Nigeria a bit more seamless. What is of more importance to the traveling public is the value they get out of every naira that they are putting towards that trip. Not necessarily the extra 10,000 naira, because at the end of the day, there is often a business, 60-70% of the travel always has, I would say, a business objective behind it. So there is also an opportunity cost if that trip does not happen. But like I said, demand from Nigeria is not the problem. The real focus should be how do we ensure that every naira that the traveling public pays to travel in Nigeria, and growing very fast. IATA projects the fastest growing travel demand out of Africa for the next couple of years. So the opportunity exists. How do we make the ecosystem a bit more friendly for the airlines for long-term sustainability? How do we ensure that the traveling public enjoy and get value from every naira, all the additional that we pay to travel within and out of Nigeria?
Thank you. You hit on the point. I'll come to you, Captain Sanusi. I'm going to take you on cost optimization, because that's in a different space. How would you say that Aero currently leverages technology and digital processes, e.g. direct booking, crew scheduling software, maintenance planning, to achieve internal cost control and reduce operational friction that traditional paper-heavy carriers often incur?
Thank you very much. The chairman of the board of FAAN, MD of FAAN, thank you very much for putting this together. I would like, if I may, to touch upon something different before I dive into that. I think we've all agreed that running an airline in this space and being profitable is extremely difficult. We've all established the fact. And I think what we should discuss more is, why is it extremely difficult? Why can't we decide and make it easy? and then we can have a sustainable aviation industry. What I believe is we all contribute to the airlines being non-profitable or being extremely non-profitable. Be it FAAN, be it NCAA, be it NAMA, be it NIMET, it's all the contribution that makes the airline operation not to be profitable. I would like to dive a little bit into each of them. Let me start with the regulators. Apart from safety oversight, they have economic regulation. And unfortunately, if you do a lot of safety oversight, you tend to forget about the economic regulations. And when you do a lot more, and the airlines pay for it, then you are eating into some of the profit that the airlines would have made. Infrastructure. If FAAN has an infrastructural deficit, which we all know over the years, and there is a delay, let's say every morning delays, all flights are being delayed because of, let's say, processing of passengers. That translates to the airline a delay of 1 hour, 2 hours, which the NCA will come back to the airline and say you have to pay compensation to the passengers. That also eats into the airline's profits. Then we go to NIMET. If they don't give you an accurate weather report for, let's say, Calabar taken off from Abuja, full house, and then I'm way into the flight, and then they tell me Calabar weather is bad. I have to fly back to Abuja. It's into my profits. Finally, NAMA. When, as my brother here just says, when they are trying to train cadets, but they do it in such a way that it is at the peak period when we spend more time in the air burning fuel. Again, that eats into our profit. So I think we all know that we all contribute to the airlines' non-profitability. And I believe one of the things that we should take away is we must do something. My appeal is, apart from the 5-point agenda the ministry has, I believe we should have a genuine reform of the aviation sector based on sustainability. We have had reforms, but I don't think they were genuine. We have had roadmaps. I don't think they have leaded us to anywhere near where we're supposed to be. Now we're having 5-point agenda or agenda points. I don't think that is enough. I believe we should have a genuine reform for the aviation sector to provide us with sustainable aviation growth in the next 20, 30 years. Because if not, we're going to have the same problems reoccurring again. That's my appeal. Now back to your question. Of course, any airline that does not embrace technology, or any MRO that does not embrace technology, will definitely have a big challenge. With the AI coming in, what we have done in aero contractors is try to adapt as much as we can the new technologies in place. So the use of paperless work cards, use of iPads. But again, we have to go back to the regulator. The regulator must approve all these things. Even inside the cockpit, the use of flight bag, electronic flight bag. We have to go back to the regulator to approve these things. Is the regulator ready to do that? So you cannot be as more efficient as your system you have been in. So you must carry along the regulator to ensure that all these technologies that will harness and use to enhance safety, the regulator also can have an oversight over you. So yes, aero contractors are looking at AI, we're looking at paperless technology in our maintenance, but we have to, because let me give you an instance, if my engineer now on the hangar is using an iPad. The first thing a regulator comes, an inspector comes and says, "Where's your manual?" Well, it's in the iPad. Well, how about if the iPad dies? Those are the things that we must make sure that the regulator understands before we introduce into the country, into our system. So I believe the future is very bright, and I believe that if we do not embrace the technology, we'll be left behind. But it's very important that we take it from here, that we must have a genuine reforms that will address this non-sustainability growth in the aviation industry. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few more questions because this is a very important element. We spent quite a bit of time with the bank because money is one of the bigger issues. But we'll be summarized by saying this. We spent this time dissecting the anatomy of airline finance in a very highly constrained environment. The takeaway is clear. Airline profitability is not simply an operational challenge. It is a multi-faceted challenge encompassing finance, regulatory and infrastructure ecosystem issues. The solution is not just about cost cutting, it's also about collaborative risk mitigation. It requires banks, airlines, regulators and technology providers to work together to reduce the structural dollar-dependent costs, stabilize the operating environment, and make ticket prices accessible to the Nigerian populace. The future of Nigerian aviation rests on our collective efforts and our ability to move beyond short-term fixes and implement long-term policy-backed and financially innovative solutions. Thank you, distinguished panelists. We will now turn to the audience. Do we have time for questions? So we would like in the tradition take 2 questions. We would like to keep these questions focused on the core themes, which are financing, operational policy, and revenue generation. So we have 1 question here. We have another. And a second question there. Thank you very much.
Quick one, please. We're taking questions, not contributions, not comments, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for very wonderful take home, especially the comment targeted at the regulator. So, especially with respect to genuine claims, I'm not saying any of the claims. So I had mentioned that work was done on the
Aishat Ayomide. Okay, it's nice having you here.
Thank you.
So, in preparation for the FNAC 2025 conference, what are those challenges that you face as an health personnel to make sure that every activity goes well without no error?
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Annie Fowoshi Eniola. Okay, as an health worker, we come in here as a team to make sure everyone is fine, no casualty, no emergency. We'll check people's blood pressure, sugar level. If there is anyone with hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, we are surely there for them.
Okay, so all facilities are available?
Very.
Including ambulance?
Yes, 24/7.
Okay.
From the day we started the program till we end the program, there's a standard standby ambulance outside there. Then we are here with our AED, with our oxygen. Every facilities are available.
Okay. So, yesterday, the program started yesterday, isn't it?
Yes.
The program started yesterday. Was there any form of casualty?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Don't have anyone.
Okay.
We've been here since on Sunday.
Okay.
We've not had any casualty at all.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. My pleasure. Yes.
I am Ibrahim Aishat. Okay. For this conference, what experience and also what has MM2 been able to meet towards customer satisfaction?
Okay, so my name is Ajoke Inkaolawuyi. I'm head of corporate communications at Bicotney Aviation Services,
Okay.
operators of MMA2, the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 2, a domestic terminal. So yeah, investments we've made towards customer satisfaction is our terminal was built for the future, I would say.
Okay.
Since 2007, from inception, we've had the multi-story car park building that makes it really convenient for passengers when they come into our terminal. In fact, one of our core values is customer care. So we want people to come into our terminal and fly seamlessly.
Okay.
So you come in from the car park, you connect to the main terminal building using the link bridge.
Okay.
Avoiding the sun or the rain. And once you get in, we have very diverse shops.
Okay.
So your waiting time, there are shops there, and most importantly, our security surveillance. Our camera is secured. We have CCTV cameras everywhere. We have our security men everywhere. In fact, I have a lot of testimonies of people who have forgotten one item or the other in our terminal, and they call and they find it. Recently, somebody forgot something as small as an AirPod. We found it, and I reached out to him. He came and was very happy to receive his item back. So yes, we take customer satisfaction very seriously, and we are well invested in it.
Wow, that's a very nice one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you too.
All right, bye.
Okay, sir. How has the conference been so far, sir? Challenges on how to make everything successful without any form of error or complaint. I know it's going to be very hectic, or let me just say, yes, it's going to be hectic.
Thank you very much. My name is Benga Olorunpomi. My day job is I'm the SS to the MD of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria on media and publicity.
Okay.
But as it pertains to this event, I'm a member of the subcommittee of the LOC on media and publicity.
Okay.
So far, this is day 2 and the final day of the conference. It has been over a year in the making. We made a lot of plans, engaged all the way, did a lot of content, just to make sure that we have a well-publicized, well-organized event, and I think I am happy with where we are at this point. It hasn't been easy getting all this place set up, getting the media involved, ensuring that content goes out, the right content goes out, because the entire thing started with, we had to rebrand the event. We changed the logo just to ensure that it gets that simple and easy to understand look and feel that people go for today. And then, working with our team members, we've been able to deliver on the media side of things. So I'm happy with where we are. Very happy.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
God bless you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I am Ibrahim Aishat Ayomide.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Same here too. So, sir, what insights have you gained in this conference so far? Now, 2025.
Tremendous insights, like you made mention. Firstly, as the name suggests, the theme for this year's conference, elevating our Nigerian aviation industry through investment, partnership, and global engagement. That itself speaks volume in the sense that it gives the foundation for investment both within and outside from outside the country, both private, government, any investor that's interested. There are various areas like all these speakers they spoke yesterday, right from the president, who was represented by the secretary to the government of the federation, Dr. George Akume, We had the governor of Imo State,
Okay.
His Excellency Hope Uzodinma. We had the governor of Borno State, His Excellency Babagana Zulum.
Okay.
We had the deputy governor of Ogun State. Then we have the host governor here, Mr. Sanwo-Olu. They all outlined investment opportunities in the various states. So you can see that if I'm an investor coming into Nigeria, I already have a broad knowledge of the opportunities to invest in. So it is an eye-opener for would-be investors, both within and outside the country, of those opportunities that are dormant, just like the president said, that are, like he also said that Nigeria aviation is underinvested, the most underinvested in Africa. That is to tell you that there are a lot of investment potentials in the industry.
Okay.
The aviation industry. So as a would-be investor, I will be interested in looking at those areas that I know I can simply go into to do my investments.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I have seen the areas for which I can make investment in the industry. So it could be both in the upstream and the downstream sector of the aviation industry. There are opportunities there. So is it in logistics? Is it in aircraft maintenance? Is it in catering? Is it in ground handling? Even hangars and the rest. A lot. Fueling and all. These are investment opportunities in the industry one can key into.
Okay.
Are you following?
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
You are welcome.
Thank you. It is evident that FAAN has an impressive vision for the aviation industry. Thanks for joining us. This is Aviation Pulse Africa. I still remain your host, Ibrahim Aishat Ayomide.